All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Health Movement Podcast. I am Derek. I'm a teacher of over 20 years, certified personal trainer. With me is another awesome guest. This one I've been excited for a while. And before I introduce him, I just want to give a disclaimer. We're not doctors. So before you change your programming, your nutrition, anything like that, please consult your physician. All right, so without any further ado, with us, I have Mike Agbay, who is the founder and owner of the MJA Martial Arts Dojo. Mike, thank you so much for coming and joining us.
Thank you, Derek. It's an honor to be here. Really.
Can you give us a little background into maybe how long you've been practicing martial arts and maybe what got you into this?
Sure. Well, my dad worked at the Boys Club in Worcester, and he started me off in boxing when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old to 16 years old. And then from there, I got introduced to karate from a friend of mine when I was like 17, and I just really got the bug for that. I had the coordination and obviously the interest. And I wasn't really, I liked sports, but because I'm a professional drummer as well, I didn't want to lose my music, and I wanted to have something that was going to keep me in shape for that, because that was really, at the time, was really my number one thing. I never set out to have my own dojo. And then in 1994, I was, by that time I was a well-known black belt, and I was pursuing, maybe some part-time fighting career, but mostly music, doing playing in bands, and that's just my passion. So I ended up getting introduced to a friend of mine my friend Sharon, and she had some kids that were being bullied, and another friend of mine who really at the time was one of my best friends at the time, he didn't even know I trained until one day he came to my house, saw me training, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm nothing. You didn't see nothing. If you tell anyone, I'll kill you. Joke. So
Did he tell anybody?
He actually did. He told my friend
Oh.
Sharon, and we went to church, and her boys were being picked on. So I goes, "Well, I don't teach." I said, "But I can come over your house and, in your backyard and teach your four boys on, just some basic self-defense stuff." And that would be it. I thought that was the end of it. And I felt when I got there, these four little boys were so in tune to what I was doing. I was like, this is like really cool. And I felt like that God was knocking me in my, my chest and my spirit, saying, "This is what I want you to do with your life." And I'm thinking, "What, are you crazy? What are you talking about?" And so at the time I was living in Worcester in a 3-decker apartment, and a young guy bought the house. So I really kind of was kind of like putting him out, being kind of like very short with him, because I thought he was going to evict me. And I think he sensed I had a little discomfort with him going to evict me. And he goes, "No,
Yeah.
we're not going to evict you. We want you to stay here." And he goes, "And you can use the garage." We had a 4-car garage. He let me use it for my first dojo. And that summer, I trained kids in the neighborhood. And by the end of the summer, I had like 30 students. And of course, now we're getting into November. It was getting cold. I needed to find a place. So in November of 1994, I opened my first real, part-time dojo. And I'm thinking it was just going to be something that can inspire kids and other people to do things that could help them like it helped me. Never realizing, here it is 30 years later, and then about 2 years after that, another gentleman came in who owned another martial arts school in another town. He said, "I want to inspire you that you can do this full time." And I'm going, full time? And so I never expected, it would never cross my mind to do this full time. I'm like,
yeah.
So him and his wife, so my wife Lori and I, we operate this business together. And so he had his wife, and they said, "We can come check out our place, and we'll help you with how you set things up." And this guy, he said, "I ride by your place every day." And I kept saying, "I want to go introduce myself." So I owe it to this guy for, basically didn't know me and didn't ask for anything in return, just inspired me to do this.
Just kindness out of his own, just the kindness of his heart, him and his wife. That's awesome. So here you are. And how long is this the studio you're in now? Is that the one that he helped you get started?
Has been in business for 30 years. We just had a big celebration in October, this past October. Had a big, big celebration. I had former alumni come back and special guests, and so I can show families here, like, this is just not what you see here is not the whole thing. It's it's a legacy of, and then I have a great team of people that are actually out on the floor right now, training classes right now, and
oh yeah,
and it's happening right now. So I was half joking with one of my guys. I said, I might need you to come in here so I can throw you around on the show here. And he said,
if you want to, we would love to see that.
And these guys, a couple other guys have been with me a long time. This one guy wants to take the torch. So I don't want this to end at my life is basically my thing. And I'm not looking to retire like full, but I'm looking to do bigger things. Seminars. I do seminars for specialized training and a lot of different things I've come up with that I want to do. So I need someone to run the general aspect of the clients that come in,
That's great. It sounds like you still have dreams. You're still pursuing goals, even though this has been successful. You're not done yet. I think that's the right attitude to have, is always, not that you're not happy with what you have, but not being complacent and I guess sedentary in the way that you are, always looking to improve and grow. That's great. Now, do you want to give the guy a shout out that helped you out? I don't know. Is he still in business, or did he retire at this point?
He retired. His name's Harry Grimm, and he owned a business called Holden Martial Arts. And Harry, as far as I know, I think he moved to retired, and I think he sold his dojo and moved to Florida. But I remember when he first told me about that, and it took me 3 years from the point he inspired me for me to make the break and quit my job and take the step, And I remember I'd see him in town, and he'd go, some of these different events they have around, and he'd say, "So you still teaching part-time?" And I'd look at him and go, yeah. One day he saw me after the third year. He sees me, and he sees my demeanor on my face, and he went, You did it, didn't you? And I couldn't wait to tell him, It was really, I got to say, that I have nothing but respect for the man because he didn't owe me anything, and to come in and inspire me, that was huge. So I always try to inspire others. To me, my wife got this book for me, and it's about teachers. And it had different things from famous authors. It was literally like a 2-inch book by 2-inch book. And it had, some scripture from Proverbs of the Holy Bible. And then it had some different unknown authors. So I found this page, and to this day I live by it. And here's the quote. It says, "Good teachers teach good students, and great teachers inspire." And I said, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And doing this, I said, because teaching someone something is just okay. Inspiring someone to go on and do great things in their lives, no matter what it is the magic of the world. It's just, there's no limit to the sky's the limit, And,
yeah, I agree with that completely. I think with a teaching background, teaching something different, but it's still the same philosophy. You want them to learn that skill, but the goal isn't for them to learn proper technique for something or how to, spell a certain word. It's how to grow, how to use what you've learned to build and then just keep pushing forward. So that I like that quote a lot. As a teacher, that one hits home. So I appreciate that one. So right now I saw that you teach, and it sounded like you started off with the goal of helping your friends' children out being bullied. What was that message to them? Like, here you go, here are a few punches, this will knock those kids out cold? Or is it, here's how to be confident and here's how to defend yourself if need be, but here's how to, avoid certain things?
Yeah, it was about, the main initial situation was they were riding a school bus, and they would be, it's just what kids do, just kind of like, hat off your head. It wasn't anything violent or anything like type of attacks kind of stuff. So what I was basically saying, okay, someone's gonna flip your hat off, trap their hand on their hand and then use your shoulder to kind of take their balance, little things like that. And then all of a sudden they kind of ended the situation. But everything in the physical of martial arts training is always a life lesson to it. So I always tell people, sometimes we get people, not so much this location, when I had my other location, people would come in and MMA people and they just like, I want to see what you got. Meaning they want to fight. and I'd go kind of close to them and I say, I'm just going to tell you something. You see me teaching kids, see me teaching, other general people. I says, of all ages, but I said, I'm going to tell you something. I said, if you come to me, you will get a warrior. I said, I'm a peaceful warrior, but if you step over that line, I will show you what this warrior can do. And it just kind of they get taken back by it. I said, you came into my domain. I didn't come into yours. I said, you walk into someone's home, you show respect. You walk into someone's dojo. To me, this is my home. It's my dojo. It's my home. I would never walk it. So therefore, I get invited to a lot of, big circle things because I show humility and respect. If I go somewhere and we do what they call black belt meetings, I go with other black belts from other dojos, and we get together and train, and each person takes turns sharing something. But when that person's sharing something, I don't overstep them and try to outdo them. I sit there and I learn from them and show them respect for their time. And that's called growing, and that's called being humble. And that's the way back in ancient times when everyone fights about where to come from, China or Japan or India or where to come from, or Brazil, or where to come from. And I said, it came from all of them. I said, where did all of these people do their business? They were merchants and they had ships. And when they met at the ports, they would exchange their knowledge to each other. That's how it got around. But all martial arts originally there were no sport martial arts in those times. It was all for war. Everybody, martial arts before firearms, and it was for war. So they're all, traditional martial arts are all still traditional martial arts are for battle. But in modern times, I use the word peaceful warrior because I'm not out there to show them I'm tough. It's like I say, I want people to know in my heart too. I want people to know that I'm compassionate. I'm empathetic of people. When people come in here hurting, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, to me, is like a hospital for people. And they may not see it right away, but they feel the energy when they come in. And they go, this place is different. And that's basically how I do it,
That's awesome. When you were talking about the mental aspect to that, how much growth I'm sure you see people improve upon the physical skills, but what do you see in terms of the mental shift from someone who's brand new to, I don't know, once they grow up? I was going to say the ranks. I'm not sure the correct terminology there.
Yes, that's what they are, ranks. Yes.
Okay, got it.
So as you go through the ranks, whether you're an adult or a child, it's all really the same. An adult, except an adult already knows where it's similar for a child and adult. If an adult's never done martial arts, they're nervous just like a child walking in here. It's the same thing. But it doesn't mean that, and they may say, well, they're confident in one other thing. So for an example, I had a guy come call me, and he's a businessman, works for Microsoft, and he says to me, look, I run 5 miles a day. I go to the gym. I want you to train me one-on-one personal training for boxing. I said, okay. So we come out here and we stretched out, get the gloves on, and I'm doing drills like for 20 minutes, like fast drills, up and down footwork and punch in the air. We weren't hitting any pads at that time yet because that was just a warm-up. So for 20 minutes, we're doing it. So he's telling me run 5 miles. So I'm like, I got to get this guy to work. So maybe I can't over him, So I look over and he was soaked. He goes, can I stop and get a drink? I'm like, man, are you okay? Like, you're really breathing heavy. And the reason, and I kind of laughed. And the reason for that is when people do boxing or any kind of martial art, when they punch, if you ever hit a bag, the thing that's a commonality that everyone does is they hold their breath. Believe it or not, hold their breath. So I said, if you're going to take me to play basketball, someone is a runner or something, I love basketball. I used to play all the time, but I played basketball and God, I don't know how long. And yeah, I'd still like to try, but I'm not going to be running up and down that court, full court in a full game, but, without having any, time to get back in the condition for that. So the breathing is all different for that. But on the mental aspect, I had a guy that was an engineer, and he was having problems with his job, and he'd come in, we'd have these talks. He goes, so he had a private lesson. So half of his private lesson, he said, hey, can we discuss something? I said, yeah, this is your time. If you want to train or whatever you want to do, I'm here for you. He goes, good, because I want to take the first half of this and discuss. So the situation was, he's an engineer, and he wasn't respected by his head engineer, the boss, for this situation and the company. I didn't understand all that he was doing. He was really deep into stuff, so I won't get into the technical stuff. But the situation was, the team of engineers were trying to fix a specific problem, and this guy, would say, I have the answer. And no one wanted to at least hear him out to see what he had to say. So he came to me, and his boss just kind of dismissed him. So I said to him, Don, you have to stop letting people manipulate you. He said, your boss is your boss. You have to respect him. I said, but he has no right to manipulate you and to dismiss you. And you need to let him know that he needs to give you the same chance as everybody else in a respectful manner. And I says, and when you do that, then he's going to have to either say, no, I'm not going to listen to you. And then you'll know that you're going to have to go find another job if you want to grow in something, or stay there and tolerate it. That's your options, but you'll know where you stand. So he thought about it. And through the training, we did some meditation and we did some other training that day. He goes back the next week and he talks to his supervisor. And then the guy brought up the guy who's in charge of the whole project, the head engineer, and said, I believe it's this. And this is what I believe we can do to fix it, A, B, and C. And the guy went, so the head engineer just kind of looked at him and went, you might have something there. You know what? I'm going to go take that under advice, and I'm going to go put my guys to work on this. And we're going to see if this is really the thing, because this has never been brought. We never thought of this part.
Yeah.
So long story short, a couple of days later, the guy, his supervisor called him in, the head engineer, and then the big boss comes in and said, you solved the problem. You found our problem, and you solved it. So we're going to promote you, and we're going to give you a raise. And now I'm thinking he's going to be setting this company, but here's the next step. He took me by surprise. He said, well, he goes, then I realized that he said, from what the conversation I had with you, they call me Sifu sometimes too, as well as Sensei. It means the same thing, teacher. And he said, I found out, he said, from talking to you and me getting through this scenario showed me that I'm more skilled than I ever anticipated that I was. So I'm not going to stay at this company. I'm going to pursue a higher level job. I just stood there. I had a 30-minute conversation with this guy, and he's telling me it was because of me that he did this, And so when I hear magical things like that, I just go, wow, God put me in this place, and I get to do this for a living. I'm like, this is spectacular. It's just.
That's great. Yeah, that aspect of it, and it's, we talk sometimes about having to get out of your comfort zone and doing something you're not, you're scared of doing, but it's for the best, and simply having a conversation too, and standing up for yourself, not rudely, as you said, with a level of respect and everything, but having the courage to do that. And once you do it once, you're like, oh crap, like that, there's more here than I thought I had. And then that kind of opens up everything else. So I imagine it's not just professionally that kind of enlightenment overtook, I'm sure it went to other aspects of his life. But then if he has kids too, and they see him taking that chance and having that conversation and being brave when you're scared, like that has a ripple effect that's pretty contagious and incredible. So that's the mental piece I was wondering about there, if you dive into that. Because when as a kid growing up, when I hear martial arts, I'm thinking, there was a movie I think it was the American Ninja growing up was one.
Yeah.
And then there are all these fighting movies, and as a kid, that's what we would do to each other. We do all that, but we didn't know what the heck we were doing. But then as I got older and I had more conversations with people who were deep into martial arts, such as yourself, you realize it's so much deeper than you think it is in terms of spirituality and enlightenment and the mental aspect of everything. So I was looking through some of the martial arts that you instruct, Kempo, Wing Chun, Qigong, and Tai Chi. Are there others? You mentioned boxing.
We have an on and off boxing thing. Hasn't been going. The boxing is kind of like like more private stuff right now. It's hard to get people to commit when it comes, because people think fitness. Okay, like if you sign up for the gym in January, how many of those people are still going now?
It's like 80% stop within 2 weeks.
So it's the same idea on it, because people look at, because I've trained fighters for the ring, some amateur fights and things like that, competitions, and I had this one guy. There was a fundraiser competition. This guy came in and he was told by a friend of mine, actually one of my former students, and this guy was like in shape, and he thought he's going to raise money for the boy. It was actually for the boys club and the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And I think the Worcester Police Department put it on, and they had it at place in Worcester. And he ended up having, so my friend Matt says to him, you need a trainer. You can't just go into a boxing ring. So he says to me, and he was in great shape. I mean, the guy, he was. So I says, okay, we're going to put the gloves on and we're going to go. And he goes, I don't want to hurt you, sir. I'm thinking, say, listen, I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit you and I'm going to get you're going to be seeing stars. And he goes, yeah, sure. Okay. So I'm like, I said, because I have to determine the two things happen when you box. You're either going to, when you get stunned, when you almost get knocked out, can you hold the adrenaline together and be in control of yourself? Or are you going to freeze up and be afraid?
Yeah.
So those are the two things. And you don't want either one of those, because if you're losing control, you're going to probably, if you're going up against a skilled fighter, you're going to get hurt even more. And you don't want to be rage. People say, I'm good when I fight angry. I'm like, well, that's if you're in a self-defense situation, that'll probably help you. But when you're in a sport, in a ring, that's about
you're out of control at that point.
That's about self-control and knowing how to handle the adrenaline factor and being conditioned to take a hit or whatever. So anyway, I trained him. I told him what I charged for that and what I was going to charge him at ring. So I trained him for 3 months. I show up at 6 a.m. I said, if you're 5 minutes late, I ain't going to teach it. So first time he got out there, he kept leaning his head forward. And that was common with people when they learn how to box, because their head leads instead of their hands. And so I'd hit him every time. I said, you want to keep doing that? I'm going to keep hitting you. And so he saw that I could, show him something. So we watched the fights, the films of the fighter that he was going to be competing against. And again, it's amateur, but I said, you still want to put the work into it. If I'm asking someone to sponsor me, give me money to raise for a fundraiser, I want to make sure I'm doing my best for the people investing in me in the thing, So we got there, and so just before, the week before, a couple of days before the fight, we were doing the final training, went over some films, and he made a statement and said to me, oh, this guy's already lost. I got him beat. He goes, I'm going to annihilate him. And I goes, you know what? Go home and don't show up at the fight tomorrow. He just looked at me. I said, the worst thing you can do is be overconfident, because it only takes one punch for someone to get knocked out. So I could be winning a fight. How many fights have you watched boxing and this one contender's going, and then all of a sudden the other person comes out of nowhere with a right hook and knocks the person out?
Guy's out. Yeah.
That's all it takes. And even in a basketball game, right? You're watching a basketball game and all of a sudden they're losing by 50 points, and then 5 minutes later it's like they're ahead. Like it's the same idea. It's people get, you always go in thinking that the person is the best fighter in the world, better than you. And you prepare yourself for the worst and you hope for the best.
How did he end up fighting, or did he listen to
he
you?
ended up, yeah. So the end result was he fought, and they ended up being the first fight. I kind of laughed because he knocked the guy out in less than a minute and a half, and he knocked the guy down 3 times in the first round. And after the 3rd time, the guy couldn't get back up. So it was a minute and a half in the first round. I'm sitting there going, I said, Jeremy, get back in there. You didn't even sweat, and I didn't earn my money. Get back. She's kind of funny. It was just kind of like, this is like, hey,
you should have put the gloves on yourself and hopped in there with him for a bit.
But the funny part was, he talked to me afterwards, and we were talking for a while, and I really thought that I inspired this guy to like say, hey, you know what? I just put all this work into it. I have something here that I can work. I thought he was going to come back to me and say, I want to continue to do this. Yeah. And he never did. He never came back. And again. I thought that was kind of sad, but again, this is what I'm talking about commitment. He did it for fundraising. He thought it'd be fun. But when we do martial arts here, and my core people, it's a lifestyle. I tell people when parents come in with their kids and say, well, we're looking for another activity. I said, this isn't an activity like soccer or basketball. This is a lifestyle. I said, if you want your child to learn to have the skills and be resilient in the world that we're growing up in today, that these kids are going to have to grow up in today, you can't find anything better than this. There's there is, I can say and talk about what I do. I'll never, because I own it, and I started it. But I tell people, come and talk to my families here. Come and talk to the adults. Come and talk to the parents of the kids I teach. And you will hear, they will echo, and probably more than, because I don't like talking about myself. I just, when I get these interviews, I go, all right, they don't want me to talk about this. And it's very uncomfortable. Only reason why I do it because I'm passionate, and I visualize the people in the outcome of what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm looking for stripes on my, my uniform, or acolytes kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just not because as a matter of fact, when we talked about, what's one of the things you hear about in martial arts is confidence. So growing up, I never focused on, I was confident, but my mom was kind of trained, taught us to be very humble on the extreme side. So I was always like, people would say, do you understand like how good you are? And I'm like, I'm just me. So that was my general line till this day. I say, I'm just me. And they go, no, do you understand what this is? And I had a couple of business people to help me in my martial arts business say, you have to know the goal that you have. And I had a couple of clients recently that are very high level clients and former military and still military. And they came up to me and told me that I was better than the people that trained them in these high level military operations. And I'm going, wow. I'm sitting there going, get out of here. Like, you're crazy. So this one guy, I don't think he'd want me to mention him, but he's a fantastic martial artist and friend of mine. And he has lots of things, and he won't. I would like to say his name and tell all because I love the guy so much, but he'll know who he is by when he sees this. But
yeah,
so I had breakfast with him. He started saying to me how much what he's kind of told me his resume, and I'm sitting there going, like, buddy, like, yeah, what, like, I mean, basically at the end of what he told me he's done in his life. He's a little bit older than me, and he's telling me all the things he's done. And I was like, all right, so I have to ask you, what are you doing here? Why would you want me to teach you? And he reached over the table, and he got close to me, and he said, because what you have is gold. I'm quoting him, and I want it. And I was so humbled by that. I was just sitting there going, either way, I would love the guy, and I would always want to be his friend because I want to learn from him. I still want to learn from him on things that he knows. And he's inspired me to learn in some different areas as well. And it was one of those things that when you meet someone, you feel like you've known them your whole life kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have a hard time I had a hard time with people putting me on a world-class level of teaching and training. And it was just because I just don't focus on, and I know I need to. I need to really recognize what I have. I appreciate everything. But I need to recognize more. And that's something I'm working on myself. I have to really, because, it's the same thing when I play music, when I play the drums and I play in shows and people go, oh, wow, you're amazing. And I just go, I'm just me. Thank you. When I'm just me. And it just, I mean, there are obvious people out there that are amazing. You know, it's like way better than me. But that doesn't make what you see. You always say that there's always people better, but it still doesn't undermine what you do in your life. Everyone, I say to my staff, and I say to other martial arts schools, when someone says, I'm your competitor, I say, I don't have a competitor because it's a puzzle piece. Each individual in each business is a puzzle piece. So your life and what you have done in your life, you're a puzzle piece. No one, maybe you're inspiring many people under you, but you're a puzzle piece. No one's supposed to be you because this is not the way it is. No one's supposed to be me. And that's what I try to tell my students is that, and even my staff, I might have more than one instructor, but that doesn't mean one replaces the other. Because I treat everybody, when I teach people, I say, I'm going to learn you as a person, learn your personality, and I'm going to learn your martial personality. In other words, how you physically think, how you mentally think, and how you physically move. And if I can do that, then I can teach. That's why I feel like I'm a real successful teacher, is because I can get in your head and learn you first and gain your respect. So therefore I can say, well, you know what, Derek, this is what you do. This is how you do it. Like, this is the way you brain thing. And you go, you're right. And then you start going, well, what does that have to do with this? Everything. And that's where the magic happens.
I think, and you hit on a couple excellent points there, but like one, the humility aspect of it, where you're saying maybe you don't give yourself, I don't know if it's enough credit or recognize the actual ability that you have, but I think some of the reason why you might have attained this level of expertise is the fact that you've remained humble, that you're seeking out to learn from other people as opposed to being overconfident in assuming you know everything. And I think that's the most successful people are the ones who listen the most and ask the most questions, which are probably also the most humble of all. So, yes, you do want to recognize the hard work you've put in and what you've been able to accomplish and achieve. But I do think that level of humility is also super important too. You also said coming in, and I think, we usually hit health and fitness from, the aspect of exercise and eating nutrition, or proper nutrition, getting enough sleep and having the right mindset, but understanding that diets don't work. Like a 12-week workout program doesn't work. It's the lifestyle switch, understanding like, all right, this food I'm eating once in a while is fine. But if this is the lifestyle I eat is, I'm having candy every day and McDonald's and all that stuff, like it's going to affect me. So I need to change the lifestyle. And then I can have those things still, but that's not my lifestyle. That's the special treat every now and then. So I like how you said that and how, it's not a, we've got to fall off. So we're going to try this for the fall and it'll be good. Like it's a commitment, it's a lifestyle, and the benefits of making that commitment are incredible.
Yes. And when my own story is, I've generally been pretty healthy, but I have hereditary things like, heart disease and diabetes and also cholesterol. As a matter of fact, when I was younger in my 30s, my cholesterol was like crazy. I mean, I didn't go to the doctors back then because, you're young and you're doing stuff, you're feeling, you feel good. But all of a sudden, when your lab's done and you're like, oh boy, that's, it's not going to be looking too good here. And so they did put me on statins and a bunch of other things. And then I said, well, I got to get a new doctor. So finally, these things I had very bad side effects from all of these medications, a few medications that they gave me. And then, so I went to a nutritionist, and this woman taught me, how to, first write out what you eat every day for a week, for the 3 meals a day. And I put all the stuff down, and she showed me all the things I could change, and to be healthier so I can get off all. So I went home one day and it felt like the medicine I was taking, it felt like someone hit me in the neck back of the head with a baseball bat. That's the only way these headaches were so bad. I actually tore hamstring muscle in my leg because of the lactic acids that were staying in my muscles from the statins. Because I said, I can't take these. These are destroying my body. And then what it does to your kidneys. So all of these things in factoring, doing what I do for a living, I can't feel like that. I can't so I'm trying to make my cholesterol better, but all these other things are going to go wrong. And I said, I know my body. So anyway, I was able to flip everything around between training and the way I eat and some supplements I take from Chinese herbs and things. So then I went, so then I didn't go to doctors for a whole long time. I had to switch doctors. So this guy looked at my history, but he was looking at the older tests. And he goes, oh, you're going to probably be on diabetes medicine. And he didn't even do the test yet. So, dude, you didn't do the shit. So he starts telling me I'm going to be on, all kinds of medicine, and you probably got high blood pressure. You're probably this. And he had me dead already at this. So I go, well, let's just do the labs. So I do the labs. I come back. He looks at the numbers. He flipped one number on the cholesterol with the other one. And he goes, oh, no, sorry, I flipped that around. He goes, I'm looking at these numbers and I'm disbelief that your numbers are better now than they were 3 years ago. I said, yes. But I never went to the doctors to verify it because I just felt better. And and that's why I was going. So he was almost like disappointed that he didn't have to write. He wasn't able to write me prescriptions that day. I was just, so I tell people, I'm not, like we just talked about earlier, we're not physicians. And I would, people say, what supplements do you take? And I sometimes say, well, this, or that. But I said, but I'm not telling you to take anything because I don't know if you're on any kind of medications. And if you are, you might be allergic to certain things, and other supplements can counteract with medication. So, but here's how it's powerful sometimes. Like I had a woman in our building, and she was an elderly woman, and she would come by with her husband in the hallway and see me in the dojo, and she'd come in and say hi. She loved me. She was, and that was, again, senior citizen. How are you doing today? And this day she wasn't doing really well. So she goes, well, I got a problem with my legs. And so she starts telling me her medical problems. And I kind of laughed to myself, but this is how people look upon you sometimes. Again, I'm not quoting, I'm a doctor. She said, what do you think I should do?
Yes.
And I chuckled at it to myself, and I went, but I tapped her on the shoulder and I says, ma'am, what I want you to do is that's what I think you should do. You should go home and call your doctor and tell him or her what the symptoms are that you're having, and they will tell you what you should do. And she asked me another 2 times, and I proceeded to tell her, you need to go to the doctors, because finally, I'm not a doctor. It says MJA Martial Arts, not Dr. Agbay. But sometimes they're like, okay, one guy, the guy Ron, who I helped and who's working as an instructor, he would be on here right now, diving in here, going, "Your Sifu's my healer." I'm like, shut up. So he studied Taekwondo, he's a champion, and he ended up having surgery on his back and had all kinds of problems. Called me up one day and told me all the situation here. So I gave him some Qigong exercises to try. I said, why don't you try these for 3 months? It wasn't even a month later, he's calling me back, telling me he can kick again. I go, whoa, don't do that, And so then he came in here, he said, no, really, I can kick. I said, but you need to go to the doctor and make sure you're okay. Let him tell you you're okay. Because I don't want you to get re-injured and have to have another operation. So long story short, he's here training for his life, and he's better than he's ever been.
That's incredible.
This is what, if you said you had a bad knee from sports growing up, from high school, college, or whatever, and you said, Mike, I really would like to do this and try some martial arts training. And I say, Derek, you know what? You can do that, because here's what you do. You don't do anything that's going to be detrimental to your knee. But if you just stayed home and sat on the couch after work every day, what do you think's going to happen to your body? Everything's going to get worse. This way you can strengthen everything around the injury, and still you'll be in a little pain, but you'll feel better health-wise in your lungs and your heart, and, just everything in your structure and your posture, and you'll have more energy. So all of those physical things are going to make you mentally more focused at work, come up with better ideas. And those things all come and help us to be better mentally. We say
Yeah.
it controls the body, right? But sometimes the body will control the mind. If the mind is weak, the body, all you're focusing on is the pain and suffering you're going through rather than going, no, my mind controls my body, not my body controls my mind.
Yeah.
So I can
Exactly.
have a bad back, that's why I don't do anything, or I have a bad leg. We can all make it excuses in our careers. Well, we're not going to go do this because, that takes too much work, or I don't have time to do that, right? We just, in any career or any sport or anything like martial arts, that someone really, most people, to be honest with you, don't know the benefits of what they can do. They look at it because they see all the stuff on TV and the movies that you have to be an acrobat. Basically, it's just to do half the martial arts and move. Well, you're not going to do any of it. There was another man I have who will be here tonight, actually. He's probably out there now. And he won't mind if I mention his name. His name is Bruce. And he came in here and originally brought his stepson in. And then he saw what I did. He said, I really, really love to train, but I got a bad hip. I got arthritis that's so bad in my hip. He goes, I can't kick at all. I said, then come in here and train. You don't have to kick. And he just looked at me like, you mean you're going to let me come and train here? And I don't have to fit into this package of what most places will do, that you have to do this? I said, that's correct. I said, I'm here to make you stronger. So maybe, I don't know how long later, but he was training in pain, but he altered his training to his injury in his hip. And I never said that he could, and he's a phenomenal martial artist. So finally he got a new doctor, and this doctor said, he went to a surgeon, recommended him to a surgeon, and he went to this great surgeon at Harvard, and the guy says to him, he goes, wow, he said, what took your doctor so long to get you here? If you waited any longer, you're a young guy, you would be in a wheelchair for the rest. I wouldn't be able to do this operation. So he just last year had a hip replacement, and he said, but I'm real excited. So he goes, you're excited that I need a hip replacement? He goes, no, I'm excited because you're going to be the strongest patient that I have ever had going through a hip. And he said, you are going to heal so fast that I'm like, you won't even believe what you're going to be able to do after I do the surgery.
That's crazy.
And that is the testimony. And he comes to me and he says to me, he bows to me, he said, it's all because of you. If it wasn't for you, and I said, no. I said, we both did it. I said, you still had to come here. You still had to get your body out in your car and drive here. And I was just glad, again, inspiring someone to do something that was going to be beneficial to him. Because if he didn't do it, then he would be home and he would be crippled.
It's strange how it's that little decision you don't think has that giant effect on your life, but this decision to come see you, and the fact it was okay to train in the way that he could handle. He doesn't make that decision. Maybe he is on the couch. Maybe he is in that wheelchair, and can't move. But because he was willing to take that step, and you met him where he needed to be met, that's huge. So I like, and I forget who I was talking to. And I mentioned that I play basketball, and they're like, oh, I'd love to play basketball, but I can't with my knee. And I'm like, oh, did you tear your ACL? He's like, no, it's just sore all the time. I'm like, well, when's the last time you've actually used it? He's like, oh, I haven't done anything in like 20 years. It's like, okay, well, all right, well, how about you start slow? Go for walks, get on the bike, build it up eventually. And maybe in a year or two, you can start playing hoop again. Or you can just do nothing and say you're never going to be able to play again. And it gets worse. What I would rather have a 2-year plan where I know, all right, I might be able to in 2 years. It's going to take a little bit of effort, as opposed to just giving up and assuming I'm done. I don't know. But it sounds like that's a similar philosophy that you're putting forward too, is just be healthy, get out there, do some exercise, get stronger. And it sounds like you've been getting people in the doors there for the last 30 years pretty consistently.
It's amazing. I mean, sometimes wintertime is not my favorite time of year. And to tell you this darkness, it's like you dread it. And as soon as I get in here, I start training, and it's just like your body just, and getting around your people, and it's invigorating. It's just, I tell my students, it's like, and my staff, it's like everything, I said, anything worth, accomplishing is worth putting the time into doing it. I says, but if you don't put the work into something, and there's what they call busy work, and then there's efficient work. I said, so everything in martial arts, we learn our technique, our physical technique to be efficient in self-defense. Okay, if I'm defending someone attacking me with a knife, I'm not doing this fancy, like you see in the movies, this jumping, flying sidekick. Okay, I'm going to remove that knife. When you blink, that knife will be out that person's hand. That's how fast it is. It's because of my efficiency of my hand. I do gun disarms. You can put gun to my head, put gun to my chest or shoulder, wherever. And I said, when you blink, I'm going to take the gun away from you. I trained law enforcement in the state police and things like that in the past. And there's a way I tell these people, I was like, you have no idea. There's a guy that just came in last year. He's a former police officer. He runs firearms training, does a bunch of stuff. So he says to me, I want to work with you because someone introduced me to him. He said, but before I do, I'm going to send all my firearms guys to you to learn your self-defense, first level of self-defense. And then if we like it, we're going to offer that to our clients from our firearms training school. Because in Massachusetts, you can't just, you come up to me and threaten me, I can't just pull, even show my weapon, never mind pull it out and use it. Yeah. So you have to have hand-to-hand self-defense moves. So he brought all those guys in here, and a lot of them were military, former military, and some were a little bit older and done military, but they've all done firearms a whole lot. So I started doing things to some of my guys. So one of this guy was a Marine. He says to one of the guys I took down as one works for me, he goes, when he hit you, did that really hurt? He goes, you don't want to get hit with that. So I'm not hitting people that are not my people. I'm hitting my people because my people know what I can do. And I'm showing them what, this is not a joke. And these are weapons. This is a weapon. So this one guy says, well, I got to kind of see what you're doing. I said, what I want you to do, I want you to hit me. I want you to come and hit me as hard as you can. And the guy came at me easy. And I'm like, no, I said, this is not going to work. I said, you're now working as a correctional officer. Take me down like you're doing in a prison, and you're going to bring someone down. Try to do that to me. I said, I'm not going to hit you, but you're going to end up over there. So he came at me, and I flipped him, and he went about 10 feet back, landed on his back. And he couldn't believe it. I said, now remember, if that was a real situation, I'd have hit you first, and then you would have been unconscious going in that direction. So, so then at the end, I says to, Mark, his name is, and he's the owner and head guy of this. I said, when we talked about gun retention, he came up to me, he goes, and I forgot to tell you, I want to do that. I goes, all right, I didn't want to overstep my bounds because I know you've done police work and, I thought you had your own thing, but I said, I really think it's important that I cover. So they all got their training holsters and firearms, and they came out and he says, and I said, I'm here to tell you all that I'm going to take your gun away from you, and I'm going to knock you on the ground. I'm going to put the gun to your forehead, and you're all going to say, I'm free mom. So one guy, these guys are like, when it comes to firearms, they're experts, okay? But but they're not experts on how to stop someone from taking a weapon from them. I try to tell them that. This is what I'm trying to teach you guys. So he goes and he has the weapon. So I says to this one guy, he was lefty, and I said, you're first. So he goes, well, so he laughed at me, and he says, oh, you're not going to get this weapon away from me. And so he ended up going in, and I says, so here's what's going to happen. My hands are back here, right? And you're over there. I said, when you blink, that's when I'm going to take your weapon. So he's trying to hold his up. It's funny. So I waved my hand and my hand in front of his face real quick, and he blinked, and I took it, and he was down and out. And everybody couldn't believe it. So now you got the other guys. There's another 12 guys left. So now they're all preparing themselves what I'm going to do. Yeah. But I got every single one of them, and they were just scared to death. They were like, do you understand? There are people like me out there. The difference is there were people like me out there. Mostly were probably paramilitary people, but they're not bad people. It's just they have PTSD or something. They're looking at you as a flashback, not as they're just going to come, just go after anybody, kind of thing. They're in battle. They're in war in their head. But you might find someone who's out there who's a criminal. They might have some skill like that. So then I went, and the next part of the class was I taught them how to stop it. And I trained them how to what it's called gun retention, to make sure, it's everyone, crack up. I tell all my police friends, you guys all go to a range and you stand at a booth, and you have a table, you put your weapon on and you ammo on. And I got this one friend of mine, he's a great guy, and he's a firearms expert. He's a Marine, former Marine. And he can't really say former Marine because Marines are always Marines, but
yeah, they're always Marines.
But he's hardcore training in his firearms, so he's always putting videos up. I'm like, that was great. I love it, Joe. That was really, and he's doing time things. He's doing the drawing and the load and reload. And drawing is probably the biggest skill that you can gain if you're going to carry a firearm, if you're going to conceal. But when you can learn how to control, like I was teaching a self-defense class for teachers, and they're mostly women. And a couple of the guys go, how come not having it for the guy teachers? I go, that's a good question, because everyone just assumes a guy can defend himself. So I was teaching these teachers. I took the smallest woman. I said, I want to teach you a move so that you could take me down. Would you let me teach it to you? It'll take 5 minutes. She got all nervous. She's like, oh. I said, because if they see you do it, then they will know that they can do it. And what happens is everybody thinks size matters. It doesn't matter if you're smaller. It matters that you know where to go, and you know how to take someone's energy, right? You look at people that I'm amazed at the people that do building implosions when they got to collapse these buildings in the city, that they can't hurt the buildings around them. And these guys know how to put explosives in these buildings. They're engineers. They're structural engineers. They know where they put the things, and when it goes off at whatever time.
Yeah, what's going to happen.
Nice and right. About the skill. That's skill. That's like, these people know what they're doing. If they make a mistake, there's going to be a lot of people going to get hurt in those other buildings. And killed. So that's kind of, the way I look at it. It's when I'm teaching a technique, especially for self-defense, if I'm teaching someone, so you can't guarantee that your technique will work, but it's the mindset behind the technique. It's not the technique. So if you do something and you don't believe that you can protect yourself, and you don't have that, I say adrenaline, when adrenaline's kicking, there's tunnel vision that happens. And in tunnel vision, your eyesight, and your even tunnel hearing, your hearing doesn't work, and your eyesight goes down to like needle points because your body is under stress.
Yeah.
And it works for people in the ring too, because when I trained guys in the ring, one of my assistants who was a trainer was helping me. He's yelling to the guys to do this. I said, be quiet. He can't hear you. He goes, what do you mean he can't hear me? I'm screaming. I goes, yeah, but he can't hear you.
Yeah.
Meaning, I explained to him later, when you're in combat, you're in combat. And that's why when you see special forces training, they don't know they're training when they're going on a mission for training, because they have to do it as if it was real, and they have real ammo. Sense. And I tell people, like, these guys know, they don't know it's a drill until the thing's over, because it would cost someone's life if they just looked at everything as, oh, it's just a drill, and it's just a drill. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of respect for like firemen, and over anything, because firemen over policemen, because unfortunately a lot of law enforcement now, they don't get the training that they need. It's very sad that they don't. Firemen, they do all the drills. They do everything as if it was real. They got the burning buildings. They got the gear on. And they're pulling the mannequins out in these buildings that are really burning. I'm like, that's the realest you're going to get. Going up the ladders, coming down the ladders. It's pretty amazing. They're hot. I'm not saying that. I mean, police officers are brave too. It's not their fault that some of these patrolmen are not getting the training that they deserve.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Tim, the co-host who can't be here because he's a firefighter, he's got the academy coming up in a month or two, and that's what he's going to be doing. He's excited, nervous, I would imagine too, but definitely excited. Well, Mike, I can't thank you enough for coming on here with me and talking about everything. It's definitely something that I have not had much experience with. I did a month of karate when I was in like 5th grade as something to try. but it definitely wasn't a lifestyle, and it definitely wasn't something that I took seriously, which looking back, I really wish I did. But I'm not too old to try something new. Definitely not.
I think you really enjoy it. Like I said, I make it fun and comfortable, and my people. I had a guy come in one time, and he said, "What what am I going to expect?" I said, "You're going to expect this." I said, "Here's what's going to happen. You're not going to walk into the thing like you see on TV and see all the great martial artists on the side laughing at the new guy walking in." I said, "They're going to be there helping you because they remember the first day they came in the door."
Yeah.
And it really is a family, like that family clique kind of thing. It's just, I got guys that, I had some new people come in, and that's exactly what happened. The guy asked me, and in the middle of the class, this one guy says to me, I said, "How you doing, Bill?" He goes, "Listen," he goes, "it was everything and more than you said it was." He says, "Can I just do the paperwork and sign up now?" I said, "You don't want to wait till the end. You can wait till the end. You don't have to wait. You don't have to do it." He goes, "No," he goes, "I'm doing this." He goes, and the first thing he said, "You got me off the couch. You're like, I can't do like the physical construction work I used to do. So now I have to do, more sales and more. So, but I said, this is going to keep me strong and keep me active. And that's what I want to do."
I love it.
And that's my goal. It's like, in anybody, I said, if you go to the gym every day and you can be disciplined and you love going to the gym every day, then go to the gym every day. If you love getting on a bike or getting on I don't know, going swimming, whatever it is. So I said, just move. People just need to move.
Yep. I agree 100%. So if people want to get in touch with you, I did see online there were virtual classes. Is that something people do consistently, or is it much better to come in?
Specialized. We'll do them if sometimes people from distances want to do like a class. They're not in this location, I'll do them. It was mainly set for like during COVID, mostly.
Oh, I got you. That's what I was thinking. But I just want to make sure not everybody who's listening will be in Massachusetts. But for those of you that are in Auburn, Massachusetts, the MJA Martial Arts Dojo is where you can find these guys, and it looks like a heck of an experience. So I will definitely. I did mention in previous shows I'm going to do. It's called the Movement Series, where I come and I experience these ways that people exercise and stay in shape and the things that they love to do. And Mike said I can come to the studio and he can toss me around a little bit and send me to the wall if he wants. But it should be. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie, a little bit nervous. But that's usually when the good things happen, when you step out of your comfort zone and try something new. So I'm really looking forward to it. Super excited to have you on with us. Is there any other way people can get in touch with you?
Well, just one correction, Dirk. There's
yes.
We're located in Fitzdale, Massachusetts.
Oh, Fitzdale. I'm sorry. That's my mistake. Okay.
Yeah.
Fitzdale.
It's a part of Sturbridge. Everyone knows it as Sturbridge, but it's just like, I don't know why they made it up two different areas, but it's two different zip codes. So if you go to the same address in Sturbridge, you'll find doesn't exist, that number, 550.
I got you. Well, I apologize for that then. Well, all right. Well, thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate your time. I hope you have fun with the rest of your students tonight.
Thank you, Derek. And now I'm going to hold you to it. I'll be after you if you don't come see me.
No, I'm going to come down. I'm nervous. I might have to drag Tim out for a special guest appearance to join me.
I want to be in, with you and seeing how this thing goes, because I really believe in it. So thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. And I'm not kidding. I'm coming in and I got to figure out how to film all this stuff and get the logistics done. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, Mike. So thank you.
All right. You have a great one.
You too.